Hey guys and gals, Holly here. So I picked up a Vita back around March this year, so I'm talking like 6-7 months now. And as you all know, it's not a very highly received system in the West. And with the whole emphasis of Android becoming mobile gaming becoming more favourable and whatnot, a lot of people are stating that the Vita, well, there isn't going to be a successor to the Vita, and that the Vita really isn't, something special. And it's blatantly it's an ill-received system. So I'm going to give a review of my opinions, considering I came from the 2DS to pick this up over 6 months ago, and I just basically want to state what I think of the system after 6 months. So over the 1000 model, the only main difference is the fact that it's an LCD screen and not an OLED screen. A lot of people have stipulated that the OLED screen does look a lot better, but in fairness, I haven't played on a 1000 model. This looks perfectly fine. I have no problems with it. I think it looks great. Other than that, in terms of design anyway, it has a longer battery life over the OLED. The OLED is about 4 hours, but the LCD is about 6. And overall, it's got a better design. It's lighter as well. And on the back, probably doesn't show well up on the camera, we have a bigger grips, where on the 1000 model, they're actually more or less half that. So it's a bit, I think a lot of people complained about how hard it was to grip. So that's the main differences between either model. I would probably recommend the 2000 model base off the battery life alone, but whether or not you prefer the OLED, because the OLED, the graphics do look better on the OLED, but you are sacrificing the up-to-date design and battery life in that essence. So let's turn it on. The green light, there we go. So it's been 6 months, and don't get me wrong, I did enjoy the 2DS. It was nice and nostalgic, but ultimately it's just not what I wanted. It just wasn't my thing. I will acknowledge it's a great system, it really is, it just wasn't for me. And I picked up the Vita instead. And honestly, I love the Vita. I think it's a great system. It's a pity it's ill-received, but I think it's a great system. So what I think of the pros of the system, it's got a good library. I mean, I've got some games installed here. I think my digital games are Mine Zero, Danganronpa. I do have a few others that are not installed because of the stupid memory cards, which I'll get into shortly. In terms of physical games, I do have them beside me here, but I do have them installed as well. So Hatsune Miku, Project Diva F 2nd. I have the Japanese import for the first game, Steins Gate the visual novel, Persona 4 Golden, Freedom Wars, Conception 2, and Sly Raccoon. Simply put, really, when it comes down to a system, it really depends on what games you want to play. All these games I've played, I've had much fun playing. So, I can stipulate that I've had plenty fun playing this system. Whether you guys can say the same, that's obviously down to you, whether or not the games are on this system that you want to play. Blatantly, if you like JRPGs or enjoy indie games, this system probably is for you. It's definitely worth a look. But if not, especially if you like racing games, there isn't really an awful lot on the Vita, sadly. So another pro, it feels good in the hand. I actually have no problem playing this thing for hours and hours on end. I think my only problem was in terms of comfortability, when I was getting really serious with Freedom Wars, playing Code 8 operations and fighting the abductors for anything up to like 45 minutes, reaching the max operation time limit was quite stressful on the thumbs, hitting your melee and your shoot'ems and whatnot. My thumbs actually hurt after playing that for so long. So do pace yourself. It doesn't feel unnatural. For me, I feel it fits perfectly fine. I have no problem using it. I think for prolonged intense use, like Freedom Wars was for me, yeah, okay, it can get a bit irritating to hold, and I think it will ache after a little bit. But if you're more laid back, you probably will enjoy the system a little bit. It might be easy with you. Over the PSP, we do have dual sticks, which work great. I think they work great. Definitely a step up over only having one stick. Makes shooters easier. Let's put it that way. The OS is easy to get around. Like, I was worried it was going to be a little bit like the PS3 OS, and it's not. It's nice and easy. You can customize everything the way you want, put them where you want. It just basically works. Excuse me. So, trophies. These are very much a thing on the PlayStation Vita games as well. At first, the trophies really didn't bother me, but after getting them more and more frequently, it became a thing that I really, really wanted. I really enjoyed getting them. I found them really addictive and just enjoyed getting them. If it's up your alley, there are certainly some games out there that are worth platinum and having fun with. But again, that's really down to you whether or not that's your thing or not. So you do get trophies with PlayStation Vita games as well. One of the big things over the PSP is the cartridges. This is not PSP, the discs, they are now cartridges. You just slot them in and they work perfectly fine. It's not noisy or anything like the PSP was. They work great. Nice and convenient. Great visuals as well. You will see some gameplay shortly of how the visuals can look. And last but not least, you can go through the store and pick up PSP titles and PlayStation 1 classics as well. I think that's all the pros that I can think of right now. So let's get to the cons, and they're not many to be honest, at least not in my opinion. The first one is the Wi-Fi. If you plan to play this thing online, you're kind of out of luck. If you're expecting stability with online, it really isn't there. Like, seriously, the stability of the Wi-Fi is really terrible. Maybe it's just me, but yeah, I have had very unfortunate luck with the Wi-Fi. If I get it to work, it's unstable. It works, but it is quite unstable. If you want to play online, the PlayStation Vita isn't really going to be able to give you that satisfying online experience, unfortunately. And it makes some games actually impossible to finish, or incredibly difficult to finish, or even platinum. I know Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2, there's platinums that require, there's trophies that require you to go online to finish the platinum, but because the online is so poor, it's impossible to do. Freedom Wars, I was having some real trouble in Code 8 and got someone to help me finish Code 8 and get the platinum, but my experiences online were not that great at all. It was quite unstable online, so if you expect to play online with this, don't expect a lot. Really, don't expect a lot. Another con, the freaking memory cards, the storage. Now, the one good thing about the 2000 model, you get 1 gigabyte of storage, internal storage. So if you plan to just, buy physical games, you're set, you're golden. You don't need to buy a memory card. If you want to buy a lot of DLC though, you may have to look into forking out for a memory card. Now, as you can see here, PSN do put sales on for games, and you will require to have a memory card to download these. Simple as. See if I can just find an example quickly of how much space it requires. While I'm trying to find that, the last con I feel that is the touchpad. The touchpad it works, but it's not that great. I tried using it in Tearaway and it did work, admittedly, but it wasn't amazing. It didn't work as much as I thought it would. So if you're expecting that, again, if you're expecting that kind of gimmick mechanic to work properly and efficiently, again, it works, but not all that well. Another feature, the remote play, it does work as long as you have a substantial internet connection. Depending on the game, though, depends on whether or not the mappings for the PlayStation Vita actually work well or not. I had a problem with Samurai Warriors 4 that I couldn't activate my kind of like overdrive mode because it being is it L3 and R3 to activate them, and I couldn't do it on the Vita, so I couldn't activate my overdrive mode. I can't remember. I don't know the official name, but again, depending on how it's mapped, depends on whether or not it will be good or not, which whether or not it will be supported or not. So here I have Danganronpa 1 and 2, and Mine 0. Those are downloadable games, and as you can see, them like 1.6 gig, 1.4. And so I think I've got Sword Art Online, and that's about 3 gig. So you will have to fork out for memory cards. I think for a 32 gig memory card, it's something like 35 quid. It's quite expensive. It's not like the 2DS where you can just sling in an SD card and be done with it, really, unfortunately. So yeah, gonna kick into some gameplay in a second and show you 2 games. One that I absolutely love was the decision for me to buy this system, and another one that I really cannot wait to crack into. So yeah, be right back. Okay, so here we are with Project Eva F2nd, potentially my favourite game on the PlayStation Vita right now, and I will show you why in a moment. If you know me, I really love my rhythm games. I think this game was the game that kind of made me want to pick this system up. So we're talking nearly 8 hours. This was the tiebreaker for me. I seen it and I was just like, gotta get it, gotta play it, gotta own it. So I'm just gonna pick a quick easy song and just show you the kind of gameplay that you will have in this one, and then I'll show another game that's critically acclaimed, and a lot of people, for some people, it's why they would buy a PlayStation Vita, as far as I know. But I feel Hatsune Miku is an awesome game, and if you love rhythm games or Japanese pop or anything like that, you should definitely look into picking the system. So here we go, just a small quick go. I can't talk during this as well because doing 2 things at the same time is a pain in the ass. Trying to be cocky. So yeah, I'm pretty terrible trying to watch this through the camera at the moment. But yeah, that's kind of more or less a small example of what you can expect for playing Hatsune Miku. I could just go on and keep playing, but this video would drag on forever. And yeah, I love this game. I find it really addictive, and if you enjoy music games, rhythm games, it's a lot of fun, especially if you like J-pop. But if you like rhythm games, it's definitely worth a check. It was the tiebreaker for me, personally, to pick up a Vita. A rhythm game of all things, I know, but simply put, it's such a good game. I love it to bits. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, so I was going to do Persona 4 footage, but considering where I am in the game so far, I can't really get any combat going, so I decided otherwise I was going to do Freedom Wars instead, which is a PlayStation Vita exclusive. Now I have finished the game. It took me a while to get through it. I think it's about 40 some odd hours, I think it is. Potential on those lines. So I'm just going to do... Actually, let's do a showdown. to fight against a Titan. Titan? Abductor, I mean. Yeah, it's just one I've done already. Yep. So obviously you'll be able to choose your loadout, what you want to take with you, types of melee weapons and range weaponry and all that kind of stuff. Be able to select your comrades as well. Just select level 10s because you need to upgrade them. So it is a PlayStation Vita exclusive. It's a good game. It's quite a hard one later on. Like there's a difficulty spike around. I think Code 5 is where you start to feel the strain and where you really need to start upgrading your weapons. Where it's about Code 7 and Code 8 where things really get strained. So it's all voiced in Japanese. There's no English dub, but there are obviously English subtitles, as you can see. Alright, let's see if I can show how terrible I am at this game. So obviously you will utilize both analog sticks. If I can try and... might find that I don't say anything during this one. So obviously, depending on how you obviously fight them and whatnot, depending on what weapons you use, you've got various blades. I mean, what I'm losing is a Holy Lance. You can use your Thorn to knock them down and whatnot, to play healer, tank and DPS. I'm playing with a DPS Thorn right now. So I can charge my Thorn. Got some great music, by the way. If I charge my Thorn, and I can stun him. And obviously you can attach yourself to them and fight them. If you had a knife, you could saw off their body parts and whatnot. As people state, it is the closest thing we have to Attack on Titan right now. And it is rightfully stated so. Okay, so that's Freedom Wars. Quite a fun game, quite a difficult one in later scenarios. But it's a good fun game. Takes a bit of getting used to. But overall, a great PlayStation Vita classic, exclusive, sorry. So let's get into an overview. So, after all the gameplay, after this first discussion, which is probably going to run to about this 15 to 20 minute video probably. Overall, what do I think of the system? Honestly, it was a gamble by selling the 2DS to buy a PlayStation Vita, and I must say I'm really happy with the gamble. I absolutely love my Vita. I just didn't like the 2DS. I mean, a lot of people would be like, yeah, it's just the budget version, but I just felt that the games just weren't for me. Personally, it was nice and nostalgic, but nothing more than nice and nostalgic. So overall, I feel it's a great system. If there's games on it that you want to play, you definitely should consider it. I just feel it's an ill-received system. People just, underestimate it or just jump on the it's dead bandwagon. And it's not dead. It's certainly dying, unfortunately, due to the mobile market becoming more popular, more successful. That doesn't mean you shouldn't pick up the Vita, though. I mean, if you have a well-established PSN account and whatnot, and there's games you want to play on it, trophies are easily one reason to go up and pick up this system. That depends on whether you're into trophies or not. But games like Danganronpa, awesome mystery visual novel series, Persona 4 Golden, Hatsune Miku, although I think that's on the PlayStation 3. I do know Danganronpa 4 is coming to PS4, but the first two I believe are remaining on the PS Vita, at least for now, until further notice. We do have Freedom Wars. I think those are the only exclusives I've got so far, although there is one coming out next month, Persona 4 Dancing All Night, which I'm really looking forward to. But there certainly are some exclusives on the system that I feel are worth picking up, worth playing, and simply put, it's a great system. If you like JRPGs and indie, it's a great system. As I stated, if you're into racing, I haven't really noticed a lot of racing games, unfortunately, so you kind of had a look there. So overall, it really, with any system, it really boils down to you, whether you believe it's worth buying or not. If there's games on that system, you know, consider it. Definitely consider it. I think it's a great system. You know, establish a library of games that you want to pick up to make the £150, you know, worth it. Or if you pick it pre-owned, even less. If you know anybody that owns a Vita, definitely see if you can, you know, poke them, see if you can get to play their system, you know, just to give it, you know, a test for yourself. It doesn't hurt. So overall, I think it's a great system. I would recommend the 2000 model over the 1000 model, just on the pure simple fact of better battery life, and the design's a bit better. Well, I have held a 1000 model, and it's definitely heavier than this, and this is lightweight, feels great. I got no complaints. I think it's a great system. But, you know, if you're going to pick up a system, I do think the 2000 model is the way to go, in my opinion. But, you know, depending on obviously how much you want to spend, depends on which system, which version you will get. So overall, if there's games on the system that you want to play, ensure that you establish a library of games that you want to play on it. Otherwise, guys, it's a great system. You should definitely consider it. Simply put, it's a great system. I would consider it. Definitely establish a library. Give yourself a reason to buy the Vita, and I don't think you'll be disappointed. If you are dubious, you know, again, as I say, get a friend, see if they've got one, play theirs. But that's all I can say, really. You have to establish your own opinion. You have to establish your own library of games that you are willing to pick up to play this system. Do take into consideration the physical games and digital games as well, because you will need a memory card if you want to go digital. But other than that, guys, it's really down to what you want to play. If I had to stipulate how much I enjoyed the Vita, I spent more time on the Vita than I have on my PS4. If that doesn't say anything at the moment, I'm not sure what will. Simply put, I mean, I spent 80 hours in one game alone, but that's because I'm a fanatic with, you know, Hatsune Miku, you know, rhythm games in general. But yeah, I hope this review is somewhat helpful for those that decide to watch this review, despite its shoddy quality. But primarily, you know, just to get my voice out there, because some people have asked me about the Vita, considering, you know, you can throw a rock and chances are you'll hit a dozen people who own a Vita rather than own a DS rather than a Vita. Sorry, it's just how things are going. So yeah, I hope that was helpful, and I shall see you in another video, probably a Let's Play this time round, or an anime unboxing. So until next time, guys, have fun and stay safe. Catch you guys later.